Good afternoon, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be again here in the ICD. In fact, my Minister of Tourism was invited, to perform before you about the Moroccan policy on tourism. But he's not here in Berlin. He's in a trip in the delegation of His Majesty currently in some African brotherly country. This is why I decided to offer to Mr. Dunfried and his honorable team to come here and to speak shortly about Morocco and Africa. When we speak about Africa, some of you may remember that that was a theory always, pressing on us to speak about Africa. This theory was called Afro-pessimism. And I'm coming here today among you to speak about Afro-optimism. You may witness what was said, for example, by Mrs. Hillary Clinton, voicing about Africa. She spoke about the new boundary. President Obama called for a first American-African summit, which will take place, as you may know, next August. Not to speak about many other processes between major players in economy and politics and strategy throughout the world having the same framework today with Africa. From our own perspective as Moroccans, as Africans, we say the following. In 2030, Africa will host a middle class reaching about 450 to 50 million inhabitants, among approximately 1.3 billion. In 2050, these figures may increase very more. What does it mean for us? It means that the middle class in Africa will be the equivalent of the population of Europe, the 28 members of European Union. This means a very important strategic orientation of all these countries, among which Morocco, as an African country, I am stressing this very strongly. This is why our King, His Majesty Mohammed VI, is multiplying his visits to Africa, not only for economic interests, which are completely, legitimate, developing our strong relations with the other members of the continent, but also for humanitarian, social, and security reasons. It will be too long maybe to go in all details, but I will just give you some snapshots on these every fields I'm speaking about. When it comes to economy, I already raised to this strategic importance of Africa becoming like it was for other areas, particularly in Asia, these past decades. Most probably, if not most certainly, Africa will become the more important geostrategical continent when it comes to the economy particularly. You may know, for example, that the growth of telecommunication experienced by Africa nowadays is the highest worldwide. Not to speak about the natural resources of Africa and all the potential coming from the growth. We just heard about the growth in Mauritius, the growth in Egypt, which is very important. By the way, these are African countries, but the average of the growth nowadays in our continent is 6%. In a context of a severe financial crisis, still unfortunately affecting the major players like Europe, less maybe in the United States, but also in Asia, etc. The Moroccan private sector is the second, please note that, it's very important, is the second private sector, African private sector, investing in Africa after the South African, which means that we are not only counting on the public sector, on the government to play a role, but more than that, the private sector in many fields, promising fields, be it telecommunications, banking, infrastructures, housing, etc. This is our message today as Moroccans, together with our African brothers and friends, to the world. Come, invest, develop. You will find opportunities, but more than that, you will enhance security elements in our continent. Our continent needs security more than before. Even if you may have observed that the rate of conflicts, of wars, decreased significantly these past years, this past decade in our continent. So Africa is doing better in economy, it's doing better in security, but we need economic development, social development to strengthen this very good trend our continent is experiencing. We are speaking on these issues because we know, we experience on a daily basis, the challenges. As you may know, Morocco is a crossroad. It's 12 kilometers from Europe as an African country. And we have to, on a daily basis, to confront problematics of migration, illegal migration, problematics of traffics, and also more hard security issues like development of terrorism, like we observe it in Mali. And by the way, Morocco is among those acting very, very significantly nowadays in the Sahel. That was clearly demonstrated by the presence of our king in Bamako 2 weeks ago. For security, we should count on ourselves. This is why Morocco is now participating in many peacekeeping operations under the umbrella of United Nations, of course, in many areas, in many countries in Africa, be it Côte d'Ivoire, Central Africa, Democratic Republic of Congo, Mali, as I said, coming after many other series of Morocco playing its role historically in the river Mano, in Biafra, against the separatism which was there in the 60s and other experiences. So security, economy, and of course, we have to develop more and more diplomacy for our continent worldwide. It seems to me very important to come to the ICD before you, before, young students, trainers, before representative of private sector, before diplomats, and to share with you. I think and I would like to conclude with this, not to be so long. I am at your disposal to answer any questions. And by the way, we are also, with our team of the embassy, prepared a written form of what I just said. You can use it, for of course, your personal developing information on our continent. The most important for us, and myself with the able team of the embassy, is to try also to look after the cooperation between Germany, Morocco, and other African countries. It's very important for us that Germany, being one of the big, if not the biggest locomotive nowadays in Europe, be more and more, interested, be more and more involved in the African issues. That was some elements I wanted to develop with you this morning. And again, I would like to express really my pleasure to be here. This is the message of Morocco. His Majesty still is in the continent. 3 weeks already. He's launching building of hospitals, of schools, of roads, of infrastructures, some of them offered by Morocco. We trust in our continent. We have nowadays in Morocco more than 10,000 sub-Saharan students with Moroccan scholarship in our universities. And I hope that it will be also interesting for you to go more in details, to learn more about what the Kingdom of Morocco is acting towards its own continent. I thank you very much.